What up, though? Welcome to Let's Chat. My name is Let, and tonight we're going to be speaking about overcoming relationships, overcoming situationships, overcoming divorce, overcoming anything that's holding you back. I have a special guest with me here tonight. Her name is Miss Faith Goodell. She is my friend and my sister. Faith, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. I am Faith Goodell, the strategist, and I am a divorcee, and I am here to share a little bit about overcoming divorce to encourage divorcees to not give up and to keep the faith and to keep pressing if they desire to be married or to be a wife or husband again. I call myself a strategist because I have strategies for relationships, all types of different topics and walks and ways of life. God has given me strategies to help people win and overcome. So therefore, I am going to drop some pearls on Let today and all of her listeners in hopes that you all overcome and be ready to expect the newness and let go of the past.
How do I compete with that? See, my sister's not supposed to get on here and show me out, y'all. Wait a minute, hold on, let me sit up. No, but seriously. So, I like how the strategist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
You gotta have strategies. Our enemies, our adversaries, the ops, even in sales, business, you gotta have strategies. It's a lot of competition out there. And for people like me, the competition is my enemy. I believe in living a spiritual way of life. So I believe in demonic spirits. I believe in the devil. I believe in all of those things that come to stop and block me. I have learned some of their strategies, a lot of their strategies. And that's how I was able to create my own and let God give me his so that I can overcome.
I guess I have some strategies too. However, I never really looked at it like being a strategist. I kind of looked at it like being a realist, like straight no chaser.
Right. Okay.
And but what I've learned is the hardest person to be real with is me.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
So that's the hardest person to be real with. Like, I can tell other people, but I got people that I can call that's going to be like, now. But I think I call those people only when I already know. I've already told myself the truth, but I'm starting to doubt the reality that, Mm-hmm. So when I feel like I'm doubting my reality, then that's when I call other people to just remind me that what you just said is real. Because you know how people like talk to yourself. Mm-hmm. I do that, but I don't sugarcoat things with myself either. But I think when it comes to love,
I was just getting ready to say, it's not that you're not real with yourself. This is something that a lot of people may not understand. It's when you're warring with yourself. When it's self against self, you find yourself doubting because your stronger self is trying to teach and grow your weaker self, and your weaker self don't want it. So it's not that you're not being real with yourself. You are warring with yourself. Sometimes it's love versus hate, forgiveness versus unforgiveness, or ready to grow versus not. And it's a bumping of the heads and a war. And then you phone a friend and they get you together. And those great friends that we phone, they side up with our stronger self. And that's why they get our high five and our amen. It's not that they kept it real for us. They partnered up with our strength and we overpowered our weakness.
I would agree. But I will also kind of like put a little spin to it. I don't feel like that I'm not real with myself or that I'm battling with myself. What I feel is that once I know something is that, mm-hmm. I feel bad for the person that I'm up against with because I'm one-sided. Once I make up my mind that it's a wrap, man, peanut butter, no jelly. It's like once I get to that place, it's like going to somebody's house and they got Kool-Aid with no sugar, peanut butter with no jelly. It's just like, it's not going to work. So the fake in me, mm-hmm. per se, being mm-hmm. fake with myself, mm-hmm. is what I knew a long time ago it wasn't. But I keep wanting to give you a chance because despite what everybody thinks about me, yeah, I will cut you off. But what did you do and how long did it take me to cut you off mm-hmm. is what determines the factor for me. And I've always been accused of cutting people off too fast. Mm-hmm. But no, that's just the stuff I told you. It's some other stuff that I noticed that I didn't say nothing about, but I've been watching because I'm a people watcher. I've been paying attention this whole time. Mm-hmm. So let's figure out how to overcome divorce. How did you overcome it? And I'll tell you how I overcame it.
And before I go there, I like what you said. You called it real versus fake, and I called it strength versus weakness. Mm-hmm. But we have the same picture, the same perspective, and the same view. We're just using different terminology.
Because I can't ever use the term weakness because
But you so raw and so real. It's you all about real versus fake. Real versus fake.
Yes, because
that's just your character.
Because weakness to me, mm-hmm. like I don't ever want to put that in the same category with myself. Right. Because nothing in my life allowed me to be weak. I always had to be strong. You know what I'm saying? Bend but never break. Mm-hmm. Stoop but don't sit. You know what I'm saying? I never had a chance to be weak. So I never even idealized or used that in my dialect because it was two things that bothered me growing up. For somebody to be like, with your weak ass. Or the other one was, with your stinking ass. Because, first of all, I ain't weak, and my ass definitely don't stink. And those were my triggers in arguments with my significant other at times. Those are the two triggers. Like, and now we at war, because those are the two things you can't say to me, because explain to me where you even see any weakness in me.
Right.
Because if I display weakness, then I feel like that puts me in a position for you to feel that you have power over me. And don't nobody got power over me but God.
Right.
That's why I use that term instead of...
And another war is when somebody's trying to get that power and obtain that power and have it over you. That'll make you fight too.
Man,
and a lot of time our men do that in their relationships with women. They want the power. They want the control.
They want to break you down. They want to break you down. In my opinion, I used to think that I had somebody that was like...
Right, don't say they. Maybe the ones you've experienced, because a lot of time men will feel like it's a shots fired. Yeah.
No, it's no shots fired because I know it's a man out there that's gonna be on my level where we could like politic. Like I get along better with men than I do with women because I understand them. I don't know if it's that Gemini side of me that has a dominancy, but I get along better with men than I do women. I have more male friends than I do have female friends. And that's just because I can relate to them because I've never had an opportunity to be weak. Mm-hmm. And I think that hinders some of my relationships. When I say relationships, I'm not talking about with friends. I'm talking about with significant others because I can't show a sign of weakness. And they want you to be, don't twist your face twisted like.
Because I'm just thinking like, oh my God, to the great man to be weak is such a rest.
No. Submissive and weakness are two different things. I can be submissive, but I'm never going to be weak.
Okay, so then that will go to your definition of weak. So that,
that's why I said I can't put that in the category because to me, weak is like the lowest of the low. It's like,
wait a minute,
hold on now.
But sometimes when we define words accurately, we find out it don't mean the meaning of it is not how we've been using that word. And I'm not saying I can't really determine what weak is verbatim from a dictionary, but I thought like the Bible side came in. It's like the husband give honor to the woman for she is the weaker vessel. And it's like she's lower. She's, maybe more sensitive.
But he said weaker vessel.
Right.
He didn't say she's the weak
right.
vessel.
Or the weakest link. Or you got the power and you control her because she weak.
So
it's humble yourself unto her sensitivity, unto her insecurities if she have them, unto whatever it is that she's dealing with.
And that's why I said the dominant side, because if you think about it, men don't want to be portrayed as weak. So therefore, they don't show that emotional side of them because they've been taught and raised to believe that showing somebody that the emotional side of you is weakness.
Mm-hmm. But one thing I've learned with men, with the right woman, when they're comfortable, they will show weakness. They will cry. They will open the closet, the door, pull it from under the bed. That there are times where they will be weak. They will be weak. But it's not as far as weak in strength. Men seem like they are ashamed or embarrassed to announce their shortcomings because it's a sign of weakness. And it's like, it doesn't make you a weenie or, flimsy because you have a weakness. Come on, you're human, you're natural. You got a weakness in some type of area. But this power thing and this ego thing with men against men or, having to stand their ground, they want to always exercise this power and this strength. And it's like, what if you can just relax too, my guy? You ain't got to be so strong. And you definitely not finna get power over certain type of women. And it's not that these women are hard-headed or talk back this, that, and the third. Some women just refuse to give their power to a wicked lord or a wicked king.
Well, I mean, we were raised by a man, though, so we have a different perspective. So it's a gift and a curse for me because Dad taught us a lot of things, that, first of all, you have to be worthy of me being submissive to you. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying what you deem worthy. I'm saying what I deem worthy. Like, you can't show me no sign of weakness. You can show me a sign of humble. You can show me a sign of emotional. But the problem is a lot of these men don't know the difference. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Because Dad loved on us. He hugged on us and kissed on us and let us know that it was okay to feel love. Mm-hmm. A lot of these guys didn't have that. And the ones that did have it, their dads weren't taught that. So therefore, I met a guy whose dad wasn't big on I love you. So therefore, he wasn't big on I love yous.
But was his mom? Where's the balance?
It was no balance. It was no balance. So therefore, imagine being with somebody for a long time, for years on top of years, and they don't tell you they love you until something's wrong.
Or they're showing you, but you just want to hear it. That will irk your nerves so bad. Like, I know you love me, but say it. I want to hear it.
Because I don't want you to feel like I'm unappreciative of what you showing me. I told you this a long time ago. Tell me if you remember this. He's a great man. He's a great provider. He's a great friend. He's a horrible boyfriend.
Oh, and he was a great father. I remember.
Oh, and he was he was a damn great father.
Yes.
But he was a horrible boyfriend. And everybody's like, what do you mean by horrible? Cheating? No, it's not that. Because the cheating part didn't bother me because I watched my father do it. You know what I'm saying? That part really didn't bother me like it would bother some women. Mm-hmm. It was the level of disrespect with the cheating that bothered me because I was always taught what I do in them streets ain't gonna never come home.
Right.
I mean, come on, Dad had a whole baby. I mean,
okay, overcoming divorce. Did he get divorced behind? No, I'm playing.
Did he get divorced behind it? But I mean, he didn't allow her to disrespect his wife, regardless of whatever the circumstances was. She didn't open her mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Even in labor and delivery, while she was pushing, she didn't open her mouth. Now, I ain't sure if he was there or wasn't there, but she didn't open her mouth is what I'm saying. So that's where I come from. That's the route that I was taught. So when you got
these men nowadays ain't keeping their side chicks under control.
Listen here. First of all, when did we even name these bitches side chicks? Because side chick, they existed. They've always existed. I think quietly, secretly.
Well, now they embrace who they are and they're excited and they're happy to be. Okay. So it's no longer a secret.
But as a man, you're supposed to figure out when it's time to cut it off. Like, you seen she was getting attached. You seen that. You know what it's like to know that somebody is into you and not really on you.
Well, we would have to wait and pick a man's brain.
We're going to do that next. But anyway, let's get to these questions. How did you overcome divorce?
Which time? No.
I forgot about that.
I'm so happy I can laugh now because those moments, those times that it was embarrassing, you be ashamed.
So how many times have you been married?
Do I gotta tell everybody again? I feel like every time I go in an interview, I tell it. So can I pass this time?
You can pass.
Can we talk about it on another time?
Just tell me how you overcome the last one. We ain't gonna worry about the first one because those was practice. You was practicing. You was practicing for this one.
With my testimony, going back to the Bible, my confession is I will not be as the woman at the well. So I ain't made it to 4 and 5, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to be like
her. Was the woman at the well Jezebel?
No.
Oh. Woman, thou art loose.
You're so crazy. The last one, man.
The last one was too weak for you. Just in my opinion.
Oh, so he wasn't fake, he was weak. You gonna switch it up?
He wasn't fake.
No, he wasn't fake. He was not fake.
He was real. He was real. He was a genuine person. He was a sweetheart. He was too weak.
But I loved him because he admitted that in so many words. He just said, you're too much. I love you, but you're just so much. And I am so much. But the time when I was with him, he was a great, provider, protector, faithful, loyal, sweet, meek man. He was awesome. So that's why I was really, really
he was
hard.
the you ain't got to go to work type of man.
Oh, yeah.
I like them kind.
I loved that.
I ain't never had one of them.
I loved it, did that. Just be at home walking around naked all day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Cooking, cleaning, and whatever else.
So I was, so that was hard because with him being such a great guy, it was like, why isn't this working? What's wrong? And it was the things that he lacked that was wrong that I really, really needed, But because he was such a great guy, I was caught up in this bind because I couldn't make it make sense because the previous relationships where I was in were unhealthy. So now this one is healthy, but it still ain't working. So I couldn't make it make sense.
The balance.
And I'm just like, what is going on? He ain't cheating. He ain't doing this. So why can't we make this work? Well, even though he had his flaws and his issues and things that I needed that he lacked or didn't want to put the work in for, even in all of that, it goes back to me having to look in the mirror at myself. And that's something I practice often in any relationships, business, female friends, or whatever. It's just looking at myself and examining myself in my own life and my own heart. So with him, I realized that all of the relationships I had been in before, even, before marriage and before having kids and the whole thing, and the journey that I took with life and even how I was raised in my childhood, all of these things played a part in who I am when it came to relationships. So here I am with my childhood issues, the issues from my ex and just life. And now that I'm with a healthy person and I can experience love in a healthy relationship, I'm toxic.
Cause that luggage, baby, sometimes we gotta leave it somewhere else. Like, don't even put it in the car. Leave it at the dumpster.
And I was the good girl. I was the church girl. I was the faithful girl. I started living right to the best of my ability in about the year 2000. So it's like I come on this journey and I'm good. And I'm in these unhealthy relationships as the good person. And here I am taking in all of this stuff. So now I'm in a healthy relationship and I got all this toxicity from all of these relationships and from life and childhood issues and trauma. And now I'm faced to deal with it. And he wasn't strong enough to really have my back and support me. And so me trying to process it all and him not, being able to kind of like hold me or support me emotionally or spiritually and those were the places that I was beginning to drown and sink. He only had me in the natural with the providing and the protection and the, the bills paid and the loyalty and all of these awesome things. But spiritually, we were not compatible.
Cause I was gonna ask you, were you broken? But dang, you said toxic.
I didn't know though. I didn't know.
Right, because we've been taught to not be broken, but we've never been taught to not become toxic.
Or to clean or to detox from the toxins.
Girl.
Right? So we talk about soul ties, but say that it didn't come from another relationship. What if it was just from the way your parents raised you and the way you witnessed relationships all your life? That creates toxins.
Yeah, because thinking back, honestly say, I only have one role model of how a marriage was supposed to be. I had a lot of marriages that I've been surrounded by, but I haven't seen but one.
But that goes to...
And that was 18.
But that's your view and your lens.
No, I'm talking about no disrespectful, no cheating, none of that stuff
that you know of.
That we know of for the that's you're making my point for me.
That
the
respect and the side chicks that they place. If there is one, you should know that one exists.
God. You preach it to the choir. But yeah, so that's what I mean. So how do you overcome that and not be toxic or not be broken?
How do you overcome being cheated on, finding out that you're cheated on, being disrespected, not be broken or toxic. It don't even gotta be cheating.
Disrespect coming very different.
Right, but I'm saying I just named off the few things that you've been discussing.
Disrespect comes in a whole lot of ways. I think it's disrespectful if your ass is doing something that you know I'm not cool with.
Mm-hmm. Now, I became toxic. I became toxic. So somebody who went through all of the cheating and the lying and being disrespected and didn't pick up no toxins, we would have to ask them if they exist, if they gonna be honest and keep it real. I can't answer that because I picked up toxins on toxins on toxins.
And I picked up, what did I say it was earlier? Not fake, fake. Because I was faking, accepting that shit. To me, I was being fake to myself. Mm-hmm. I wasn't being real. I wasn't being weak. Because
I see it as weak when I see you.
No, because a weak person would have never been able to withstand all of that. Right. All the things that I've been through in my life with being married to an inmate whose mama was just totally disrespectful on every level. He was disrespectful. How you in jail? You got a whole 3, 4, 5 bitches coming to see you.
Right. So again, my perspective is weak. Yours is real or fake. Now, when you mention a weak person may not be able to be in their right mind and make a comeback and be so strong. So now you like, oh yeah. Now I'm like, well, that's true. So maybe that's not necessarily weak because a weak person might be down for the count and just settling and laying up and sleeping around and processing it, drinking, smoking, high, or whatever.
Hold on now. I ain't saying I ain't cheat back now. Hold on.
But I'm just saying, I cheat back. Weak would be kind of out for the count on certain things versus bouncing back.
Right. So my version of not being weak, couldn't be weak to withstand all of that. I had to be strong. I had to be strong to withstand all of that. I had to be strong. Mm-hmm. But I was fake with myself.
Right. You wasn't keeping it real with yourself.
I wasn't keeping it real with myself.
Well, a lot of times with women, we love men so much and we're nurturers and we're lovers and we got that sensitivity. I mean, probably.
Well, I got to dispute that too because, I used to think that I was in love. I don't think that now. I think that I was in survival.
Ooh.
I was surviving some shit. Oh. I was surviving, overcoming. It's a lot of things that I endured in my childhood that I didn't want my kids to endure.
So versus, I love him. You more, I need him.
Yes, because okay. I don't think I loved any. Well, I don't know about need because I don't think I need it.
So what's survival? Because now you stuttering and stumbling. Talk survival.
Survival to me is I had to eat a little bit of shit in order to get where I was trying to be, which was keeping my kids safe, not ever having to worry about nobody, no man coming in my home, possibly molesting my children. I had to eat a little shit. You understand?
So not a need, but a decision. I'm going to do this because this is what I'm trying to get.
A strategy.
Come on now. High five. The strategist on the senior strategist.
Yeah, I could go here in my bed and sleep peacefully and know ain't nobody in there because this motherfucker's on the phone. He ain't in the home.
And the rapper.
And then when I finally brought someone into the home, I was like, I had conversations with my daughter. If that motherfucker even look at you the wrong way. My daughters. Mm-hmm. If he look at you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, he's out of here. Do you understand me? Do not hesitate. You come holler at me and we're going to do what we got to do to get him up out of here. And it ain't going to be the next day. It's going to be the same day. But what I realized is with me saying that to my kids, it made my daughters, because I never worried about my son. Why? I don't know. I just didn't. I mean, as far as like somebody, doing something harmful to him, I kind of feel like the men that I dealt with, I could determine whether it would be a boy versus a girl. We'll say that. Mm-hmm. So it was always my daughters. And with that being said, I think a lot of the relationships that I got myself into was survival because I felt like I needed to protect my kids' innocence. And I'm over here like, I love him, girl. And I'm just like, I don't, and I wasn't judging, but I was like looking like I was actually envious. I wanted that, but I wanted my kids to have a healthy, safe upbringing more than I wanted that. So I sacrificed to myself.
But then that goes for your own personal testimony that I don't have. I didn't have to deal with molestation and things like that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So behind everybody's story, there's something at the root.
Right.
There's something at the root. But that's a whole nother topic.
Right.
But so overcoming with him, was really accepting that I was the one. I was the problem. And even though...
Accountability.
Yeah, even though he had his issues and his flaws and the things that he could have done, instead of focusing on him, putting the attention on myself, looking in the mirror instead of pointing fingers. And then in doing this, it causes self-development, self-growth, and it kind of helps yourself. So looking in the mirror saying, okay, even though he's this and he's that, or he did this and he do that and he refuses to do this, what about me? What about me? So when I was able to see that I had so many toxics in my way of life and my way of thinking and my way of how relationships and marriage should be and all of this stuff based on society, what you thought, what the church preached to me all the years, I had this preconceived notion. And in reality, it doesn't always turn out that way. And that's not always the truth. And so when having to see that, okay, first of all, your dad spoiled you so rotten. So now if your man is telling you no and not giving you away, you got relationship issues, So it's like, okay.
Girl, did you see my face?
You don't always get your way. Even if your way is the right way, in marriage, you don't always get your way. So it's like I had to look at myself, and then I went down history lane and I looked at what happened with my kid's father, what happened with my ex-husband, and then I was able to see me. Even in the relationships that I was cheated on and physically abused and I had every right to leave, I still looked in those relationships instead of looking at the abuser and the cheater, looked at the role that I played. Even if the role is, why would you stay with an abuser and a cheater? What is wrong with you? So while you judging him for abusing and cheating, judge yourself for staying. So something wrong with you too. Something wrong with both of y'all. Cause ain't nobody in their right healthy mind finna stay up in no relationship where they're getting their head knocked off and they're getting cheated on.
Yes,
right?
because ass whoopings played out like Jerry curls. I'm sorry.
So you just take responsibility and examine and judge yourself. And that's how you become an overcomer. That's how you win. You learn strategies. You learn yourself. You know yourself. Then you know who to deal with, who not to deal with, who get the long spoon, who get the short spoon based on who you are and knowing yourself, what you can and cannot tolerate, what you will and will not tolerate.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
with the dating, because you're dating somebody new now, right?
Well, I'm actually in a unionship now, and that's a whole nother topic. It's a marriage. And that's a whole nother topic that I love. So I wouldn't mind talking about that one day.
Well, I'm going to have to bring you back for that.
Yes.
Because
And a unionship is a biblical marriage. It's not this traditional worldly marriage that the government and Constantine and all of these Western people have created for us. So I love that topic. It goes along with poly and natural herbs and marijuanas and all of these awesome biblical things that have been revealed by the word of God and by the spirit of God that debunks tradition and religion. So, yeah, we had to say that one for a whole nother day.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Before you got into this unionship, would you have considered you said toxic. Mm-hmm. I was going to say broken. Mm-hmm. However, how did you heal while you were in this unionship, or did you heal before you got into the unionship? Because I think that's the problem with a lot of people. They go into the next relationship or unionship, as you said. I like that, by the way.
It's different. You can't just claim a unionship if you're in a relationship. It's different. But yeah.
I ain't in no ship. How about that? Right now, I'm on the boat.
That's a good one. And it's a paddle boat.
And I only got one paddle. But anyway, no, I'm not gonna discredit him. He got some issues, but he was, like I said, he was a good guy. But
yeah, great friend. Even though he's not
my very best friend.
Right.
And that makes it hard, but that's another topic.
But being mature enough to separate it. Because you would be like, because it didn't.
No, the physical contact will not allow us to separate. We can't be friends.
Listen to what I'm finna say.
I can't be in the same room with him and not think about that or want that.
No, that's not what I'm finna say. What I'm finna say is this.
Girl,
sometimes
I just don't want to be digmatized is all I'm saying. No more.
To the 10th power.
To the 10th power.
So look, this is what I was going to say. When women are in relationships and it don't work out, a lot of times, oftentimes, most times, he ain't ish. That nigga ain't this, that, and the third.
No, I could
and they
never
just
say
lump
that.
it all, boom. And it's like, no, sweetheart, he wasn't good to you. He may not have been a good boyfriend, But you can't say he ain't this, that, and the third because he's a good man. His job say he a good man. His church, his kids, his mama. So he wasn't a good boyfriend. Don't make him not a good man overall.
I can't tell you that nobody I ever dated was not a good man. Mm-hmm. They might not have been good for a relationship. They may not have been but I'm not finna date somebody that ain't, like, what does that say about me? I chose you. So that's like when people...
Sometimes you get caught slipping, though.
No, I don't get caught slipping because I told you earlier, I'm dominant. It's no get...
So what if this was supposed to be your friend all along, but something triggered in y'all chemical, right? In y'all mind, and in y'all spirit, in y'all flesh, and y'all crossed the line and tated the friendship and then begin to build another type of relationship when it should never went there.
First of all, I have had people that I've done that with, but we're still friends to this day. Because we might have had a physical at some point, but we realized as mature adults that wasn't the path that we should have taken. And we didn't allow it to interfere with our friendship. We're still friends.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I can't necessarily say...
I think, I might be undercover speaking for myself because I kind of think that about a person or two. Like, you was my ministry assignment and I fell short. You know, so that might be my own conviction.
I ain't gonna see ministry. I say that God put me in their life for a reason because I needed to teach them. Like, my son's father is married now. I had to break him down, and then he was prepared for his wife. I was never supposed to be his wife.
But why?
I never envisioned myself on being his wife.
So can we do a sidebar
for me?
Can we do a sidebar?
And him. And I think that the things that I did, because I gave it back like he gave it to me. Oh, baby, we could, come on, I match energy around here. So I think I was his lesson. And that lesson that he learned prepared him for her. Okay. So I feel like God put me in people's lives for a reason.
Okay, so my sidebar is this. Why wouldn't you call that ministry?
Because I don't
Because
know.
when you hear ministry, you think of church.
No, that's not why I wouldn't call it ministry. Because when I think of that, I think of how much sinning we was doing. So how could I...
So how can it be ministry? So you fell short in your ministry too. Long story short.
Right, yeah, I fell short. All right, I'll take that. But how much sinning we was doing, ministry never come to mind. Because we was sinning, like, for real. Yeah. Like, just being real, we was sinning. We was, whatever it was that we were doing. I was married, for one. That's why I could never consider him to be somebody I was married. I was already married. Mm-hmm. So that was never in the cards for us.
Right.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, my son is a blessing. I feel like my child saved my life. So I got something out of that too, because had I not, I was dealing with my anemia and like my kids was getting ready to be grown. So, man, I might have been out here spending $10,000 to get the booty that I want.
Oh, that's a whole nother topic about the little booty, big booty.
yeah. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? I blessed him with a lesson. He blessed me with my life. Like, really, I feel like...
You gave him a lesson, he gave you a blessing?
Yes, I gave him a lesson, he gave me a blessing. Because, my kids was... When I had my son, my daughters was getting ready to walk the stage. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have him. Right. Because I had never been free. You understand? I had never been free. Yeah. I always been tied to something. Right. Whether it was a nigga or some kids, I was tied to something. That was, that's not what God had in mind for me. He knew that I didn't have no discipline, and if he would have let me be free, he was gonna lose me. So, but
yeah, in short, I just accepting my part and my responsibility. And seeing that, I played a part too, because it takes two, and that's my relationship motto. It takes two. Taking my responsibility, seeing that I was toxic and all of this stuff from my childhood and my previous relationships, I had mandates and expectations in my current relationship. Also, my notion, what I thought relationships and marriage should look like. I'm bringing all this in, what I've been taught by the world, religion, experience, and I'm bringing all this in. And this person is like, okay, that ain't how I see it, how I believe it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, the common denominator is communication and compromise. If your wife is expressing to you X, Y, and Z, it's your duty to her to see about X, Y, and Z, and vice versa. If he's
but that's so hard
this,
for someone to do because a lot of people have not been taught to properly communicate or compromise.
So in my case, I even got counselors involved. Like I fought. I didn't just back out.
So let me ask you this. Would you be taking accountability for your role in those marriages not working? Do you feel like you display any sense of insecurity? And I ain't just talking about relationship. I'm talking about insecurity within yourself. It could have been...
You heard me in the beginning say embarrassment, shame, and insecurity because... Like now the relationship that I'm in, each time you gain wisdom, you gain understanding. And because I said, like for me, I took that time, it really like put the light in my face because it's like, okay, with your kid's father, your ex, y'all had physical abuse, y'all had cheating, y'all had adultery, like all of this stuff going on. So it's like, yeah, okay, it ain't work. So it's like, okay, here's somebody that's faithful, that's working, that's providing, and it still ain't working. So what's really wrong? What's really good? And that's when the light came in my face and I had to see me. And I went through therapy. I went through counseling. For personal, not for relationships or marriage or none of that, for personal. And I just got deeper into myself through therapists, through the Holy Spirit, through experience and examining myself and looking at my past and judging myself. I was able to see all my wrong, all my faults instead of looking at other people. And then I began the journey of self-healing, self-care and deliverance and all of these things within me. And that's how I overcame, just accepting my part, seeing that I played a role, I was toxic, and getting help for myself. So in this relationship, I have a different perspective, a different point of view, and a different lens. So it allows me to navigate through the relationship differently. And I don't have the same expectations and the same this. And I didn't settle.
I'm glad you said expectations.
Yeah, I didn't settle, but I was able to reprogram my mind and my thoughts and see the truth and figure out what works for me. Bunk what the church preach, bunk what the world say, bunk what traditions say, bunk what I've seen with my family members, what works for me. And that's how I began to win.
So let's go back to expectations. Let me ask you this. Do you feel in those past marriages that maybe your expectations were too high? Because I feel like, let me speak about mine real quick. Mm-hmm. So like my guy, he was raised in a 2-parent household. I was not. I had 2 parents, but we weren't in the same household.
Right.
So we already come from 2 different worlds because he knows, he's watched how a wife is supposed to be. And he's watched how a husband is supposed to be. I didn't have that.
But according to who?
I was getting there. Mm-hmm. So with me, when we went in, first of all, I didn't expect for us to get where we are 9 years later. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect that. I expected for us to be friends forever because, like I said, he's my best friend. However, I think that my expectations for him were set a little bit too high. And the reason why I say I set my expectations too high is because I saw the way he was brought up and I saw the way his parents did it. So I expected him to want the same thing because he shouldn't know anything different. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think the disappointment came in is when I realized that he wasn't going to meet those expectations. That's not what he wants. That's not the path that he wanted to take. So that's why I asked you, do you feel like with those other marriages that you set your expectations too high?
In all truth, I would have to say I did not set my expectations too high. I settled for men who didn't meet my expectations.
Ooh, honey. I haven't experienced that. I haven't settled for anybody that didn't meet my expectations because remember, till now, but remember I was always in survival. Each man that I encountered served a purpose.
Right, they met you. And that's deep because, and not necessarily deep, but it hits something because likewise for me, however, the hurt, the broken, and the toxic me needed a type of man that the healed and the whole me wouldn't even give my phone number unless you calling for some type of prayer or you want my man to cut your hair or something. You know what I'm saying?
And wait, how do you deal with that? Because like dudes get really offended when they be like, oh, you're beautiful. Can I get your phone number? No. Like, you need to tell me something. Your conversation, you beautiful, is not an intellectual conversation. What we gonna talk about on the phone?
Especially if you're really beautiful and men telling you that all day, every day. I need you to stand out.
Tell me, yeah.
That goes back to the big booty, little booty.
Okay. That's gonna be a little bit further down the line. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
We might need to have a whole different one for big booty, little booty.
We get big booty, little booty there. We gonna get to that before this is over with. Okay. So we're gonna blow through these a little bit faster because we got to get to that because I really feel like I think that's gonna help people too. And I know we could talk for hours. We do it all the time. So did you lack trust in yourself?
I did. Because it's like, he was the one. I know he was the one. So it's like, what went wrong? So it's like, okay, I'm going to try again. Okay, this ain't going to work either. So it's like, I can't trust myself. I can't trust these decisions. Like, I keep picking the wrong guy. Because now you're wondering,
do you really know who the one look like?
Yeah, I keep picking the wrong guy.
Talk like, act like, walk like.
And so I'm like, somebody gonna have to pick for me.
So that's where God come in.
And
you
my friend
let God pick for you.
No, but let me tell you, even when God pick, you have a choice. God gives you free will. You can say, I want that. Or you could say, okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then what I know now is even in God's choice, you can hear from God and it can be the right person and it still may not work because we're human. We got free will. We got, he can be the one, but if he chooses to go out and cheat and have kids, we can't blame God for that. That doesn't mean you miss God. This man had a choice and a free will. He chose to step outside of what God set before him. If he has a wife, anything outside of her, that's him. We can't bring God in on that and blame God.
Right, okay.
So I wouldn't tell somebody that they miss God because their relationship didn't work. We got God and we got ourselves and we got our adversary. Right. So it's like.
And your friends that's influencing you that might not even be the right influencers. That's the one thing about me. People probably thought I started acting funny. I had to back up. Because I started realizing, I had some friends that were going through some things and I was going through my own thing. And then, them putting all of that, dumping that, I was a dumping spot for other people's issues. Mm-hmm. And I was dealing with my own issues.
Right.
So what they dumped into me was starting to spill over. It was making my pot runneth over. So my question to you is, when did you know that your pot was filling over when it was time to walk away? It was time to say, we got to stop this.
Ooh. Let me go back to
because he would have stayed. I just want you to know he would have stayed as long as you stayed.
Most men do. They wait till you get tired. They don't get tired because they be too busy doing other stuff. They don't have time to get tired. They got too many to keep up with. But you asked, did I heal while I was dating or did I get healed and start dating? I really didn't date because we were friends. So he was like my friend as I was going through the healing. And I fell for him and he fell for me. We never intended to be a couple. We knew that we were friends. Our matching up had nothing to do with being a couple. It was just friends. It was just brother and sister in the Lord, and it went there. I would suggest and recommend that people be healed before so that they can have a clearer view and not be emotionally led and trauma led and led by the past. So if you heal, you see clearer, your senses are better, and you operate differently versus being hurt. So I would recommend them heal first. However, sometimes we don't heal alone. In our case, he was with me as I healed.
But as a friend.
And I needed that. I needed a friend, and so then it led to more. In every case, it may not. But if he was not a friend, I don't think it would have worked if I just was broken trying to be with him. Okay. It wouldn't. Yeah, and a lot of strength. You got some heal. Oh my goodness. You got men who have went through counseling, who have had healing and deliverance and forgiveness.
Hold on, time out. Say that part again. Repeat that.
They have men. Yes, I've met men who have been through counseling, who have went through healing and deliverance.
Listen, let me tell you something.
And they can spot a weak and a fake and a broken female a mile away, and they want nothing to do with her because
men. But that's weird because most men don't get counseling. They just get a new woman that don't know them.
It's some men who want to love themselves and want to win and do better.
That's the one I want. That's the one I want. One that's going to get some counseling to get what's so embarrassing about getting counseling?
They got this stigma that it's for crazy people or you got to be weak.
And they would just rather get another female instead of getting themselves some help.
Exactly.
But women do the same thing. We do the same thing.
And then counseling is
let me
not
not say
easy
we because I don't.
Counseling is almost like finding a husband or a wife. It's like looking for a job and looking for that right church and that right house, because all counselors are not equipped or anointed.
And then not only that, a lot of the counselors are textbooked instead of reality.
Right. So it's like they may have tried one and it was so bunk, they good. They don't believe in that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, you got to try again. And sometimes, like, I have somebody who has grown and bossed up and leveled up with spiritual counseling, in their word, praying, letting the Holy Spirit lead. That works too. It's like to each their own, whatever's going to work for you, as long as you make something work and you boss up and level up.
But he had to be shown, God had to show him that because a lot of men don't really function that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't think getting counseling or getting a better spiritual connection with God is bossing up. They think getting a higher paycheck is bossing up. Getting a badder bitch is bossing up. That's what, and I'm not going to just say guys. I'm going to say women too. Because my method used to be, the next one I get got to be better than the last one. And what I mean by better, like, how do you go from $100,000 a year nigga to a $39,000 a year nigga? I haven't wrapped my head around that part. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean. And it's like, not to say that I need his money, but if we get in a bind and I need to know you got my back.
Or if you used to, because he make this much, you taking trips and you living your best life, and now you got to be sitting at home and going to the movies on the weekends instead of going to out of the country on the weekends. But
with the big bucks come other shit too, though, because because he got money don't mean he finna take you on no trips. Sometimes you can't even get a date. How about that?
Well, that goes to your question, and you said when to take them serious or when to leave. What was your question?
Basically, how do you know when it's time to go? Like, how did you know when it was time to go? Because he would have stayed if you wouldn't have went. You understand what I'm saying?
Definitely. All of them would have. No joke. And
yeah, because they were comfortable. Yeah. They didn't care that you were uncomfortable, but they were comfortable.
Put up with it for so long, they just think you're gonna.
It becomes a part of y'all norm. It's the norm. So why does she want different?
But I think they should know by now. Women get tired, and they don't get tired.
I don't think they know until you tired, and then when you tired.
But they've seen enough to know better now. So they still
tired. No, the reason why they don't know is because we say we tired a lot. I'm tired. I'm tired. Like me.
And then put in another 3-4 years up.
I give you warnings. Look, I try to walk you through it. Like, hey, we getting to that point where I'm getting ready to, you ain't gonna like the person that I'm finna become. I'm finna be done. But I done said it so many times, and it's like a broken record. But at the end of the day, that's my way of preparing you. Mm-hmm. And I'm also not just preparing you, I'm giving you an opportunity to try to fix it. Because what I'm not gonna do is keep compromising my happiness for you to be happy or to be comfortable. Because I don't even think they happy. They just be comfortable. So for
long story short, I would say when you say, this is what I need and this is what it is, and they refuse, that's when it's done.
No, they don't never just blatantly refuse.
So
they either digmatize you.
But then that goes back to the woman.
Or B, they do it for a little bit to get you to shut up. All right, she should be cool. And then they go back to whatever it was that they was doing because they're used to whatever it was that they were doing.
Okay, so the two is different. The digmatized one, that goes back to the toxic and the hurt and the still not still woman. She's going to fall for the digmatized part, right? But the other person who is...
or a sex addict. Is
right. You mentioned how he changed for a little bit. Well, see... He convinced her or deceived her or whatever, so she gave him a chance because he changed for that week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever. So he showed her something to give her hope versus somebody who ain't doing nothing. That's different. So this woman gets a little more grace because he's showing her something. If he ain't showing you nothing, that's your own problem and your own issues. You need to look in the mirror, get healed, get your security right, get yourself together, right? But we talking about this other woman who the man, you said he doing it for a week or a month. So he's giving her hope because he's changing.
But it's false hope though.
Well, what makes it false?
Because he is comfortable with the way things are. Right. And the only reason he's changing it is because she's made noise and he realizes, oh shoot, I'm getting ready to lose her because she uncomfortable. Well, let me go over here and do this real quick to have her comfortable again. And then they go back.
Okay.
They go right back to, they're creatures of habit.
Right. So this is when you see this, then this is when you know, oh, I'm walking in this understanding. He's just doing this to buy time or to try to woo me in. He going back to his old. When you get that understanding or that revelation or that light bulb come on, that's the goodbye light. That's the stop sign light.
Right. That's the
versus
goodbye.
the one who is really trying and really doing it a month, and then next time he doing it 2 months. And then, see, you got to know some people have issues and flaws of their own and they're trying versus somebody who's comfortable and really don't care. You got to know you and you got to know who you dealing with.
Right.
A lot of
That's
times
right,
we
yeah.
get emotionally involved and be all in love or financially involved that we skip out on knowing what's really good and what's really going on.
That part I agree with 100%. So that's why I asked you, when did you realize that you had to make the change?
Okay,
when did you realize it was time for
I'm
you to
gonna
make
tell
the
you.
exit?
Okay, so I knew that this guy loved me. He was awesome with the bills and protection and providing and, you know, faithful. He was just like the American perfect husband, right? So that was a challenge because, again, I'm like, okay, he ain't cheating, beating, this, that, and the third. So when I explained to the counselor, I called a counselor because I just believe that, you know, marriage should really be forever if you can, or why even do it? Like, you making this commitment, I'm with you, right? So I make that commitment. And when I see that, okay, this ain't working out, it's time to get help. So I contacted the counselor and I told the counselor what was going on. And here I am blinded by, well, he's here, he's faithful, he's cooking, he's cleaning, he's buying food. I mean, he's everything. And so when I explained to the counselor what was taking place, he said, so because you're not getting cheated on or beat on, you can't see that he's neglecting you. He said, you're being abused and you're being neglected.
Hello.
And but I'm so used to of a bad relationship getting clocked out and knocked out and cheated on.
Well, that's that was the conversation, fake versus weak.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, it's two forms of abuse. Because it wasn't physical abuse, you thought it wasn't abuse.
But it had went on for a couple years before I reached the counselor because I'm just thinking, well, this is marriage. You got to work it out. You got to compromise. And, you know, this is different. And so then I brought him into the counselor and the counselor was able to help him and bless him and encourage him. And then he never went back, never desired to go back, which was one of my arguments, how he never wanted to do X, Y, and Z or keep his word if he said he was going to do X, Y, and Z. So it's like, oh, now you're even doing that with counseling. Well, this really ain't going to work because if we can't make it work ourselves and we get help, but we don't take the help, it's not going to work. And because I had been married before and down this road again, I didn't have the time. I wasn't going to give another 2-3 years to a man if they're not willing to put in what it takes. And you ain't making it to the counseling sessions, but you telling me you wanted to work, you wanted to do better. Well, then how? What are you showing me? And again, you could say that maybe the first year or the first 6 months, but you can't say that every year. And it takes two. So if I want this to work and I'm trying to get counseling, trying to get help because I just want it to work and you ain't putting in that same fight, then we ain't on one accord. Like, it ain't taking two.
Right.
You know, and then in our case, we didn't have children combined, so nothing to keep us bound or anything, you know, so it was different. And I just chose to let go. And I remember, you know, it was just like, dang, you willing to pay the price? And it's like, I am. I don't care.
How much backlash did you get from
That's
your
the
friends?
price. You want people to judge how many times you've been in a relationship, to judge you and
Backlash.
talk about you and turn on you. I had 2 people that I really wanted to rock close with me.
This was my favorite one that I heard about you. I had to check somebody about. What's wrong with her? She ain't happy unless a motherfucker beating her ass or something. And I said, what's wrong with her? He wrong with her. He wasn't the one. He was what she needed for that moment.
That's what everybody says. And he still, I mean, we were friends. Like, it was awesome. Like, we didn't have we went to the divorce court in the same car and did the paperwork together, went to eat, laugh, talk. Like, we had a good friendship and we agreed that we're better off as friends. Like, that was our agreement. You know, even afterwards, he still, you know, paid the bills for like maybe 2 or 3 months or whatever. So it was like, we were good. But the outsiders was, well, she did that and the third, but I can't even knock the judgment or the criticism because that's how it does look. If I meet you and you done been married a trillion times, I'm going to be looking at you like something wrong with you too. So I'm okay with that. But it's just like, I had to learn, I had to experience, I had to go through this. But again, I didn't know that I was as hurt, as toxic, as broken. I didn't know all these things was wrong with me.
So you was, like I said earlier, you was practicing.
So now, if I was with them now, I could be with them and have a successful relationship, successful marriage because of the wisdom and understanding that I have gained and where I am in myself. I can rock with them and I could have made it work.
Hold on, time out, pause. If you ever think about going back, I think I might fight you.
Oh, I wouldn't go back to none of the abusers because they may still be abusing who they with. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not here to knock them because we have forgave, reconciled, and restored. Right. And them is my dogs now. Like, close with both my kids' fathers. We're very close. So I wouldn't bash them, or talk about them because they don't treat me like that anymore. We've all matured and grown and forgiven each other and cried and prayed. I have relationships with the women that they're with now. Even right. The guy that I'm with now, I have a relationship with his daughter's mom. So it's like, but that comes from me being able to work on myself and to be able to accept that and not be, carrying that around. So
that's understandable.
I just say, no matter what it is, if you dealing with somebody, people like, he ain't right, he be cheating on her, he be beating on her, he be woo-de-woo. And it's like, well, to me, she ain't right. Because why is she putting up with that and dealing with that? So basically, accountability, self-reflection, and to summarize this last question you said about heal and dating. Or how do you know when to leave? Here's the $1 million question. It's not about knowing when to leave. It's about knowing who to even partner up with. So you ain't got to worry about that.
Right.
The healed woman ain't going to choose the same man the broken woman chooses.
Right. Well, my issue wasn't knowing how to leave because I'm good at leaving. My issue was knowing how to stay.
And that's why I endured in this relationship because I said, I'm dealing with women and counseling women and they've been married 20 and 30 years. And it's like, and I'm able to give them this wisdom and I ain't even had a chance to use it. I said, so this relationship, I'm going to use all I know and I'm going to make it 40 plus years. Like, I'm going to apply this. I'm going to learn how to endure and not walk away. But then to that too, the person has to be worth the enduring. They have to be worth it. And I don't mean they got to be perfect, but they got to be worth it. You got to find purpose in it. It has to mean something. So when the times get tough and the times get rocky, it's that purpose and that meeting that gives you the stamina to endure and to persevere.
Okay. That was pretty deep.
I think that's about it for me.
No, that was pretty deep. That was pretty dope. We didn't get to touch bases on little booty, big booty, but we ain't got enough time today. So I'm going to have you back sometime real soon. Yeah, I think that we all have our own battles that we have to learn how to pick which ones are worth fighting and which ones are not. For me, I need to learn how, I'm so quick to throw in the towel and give up. I don't think it comes from dad spoiling us. I don't think it comes from that. I think it comes from if I feel that I have to disrespect you, then I don't want to be with you no more. And when you put me in a place where now I gotta disrespect you, it's time for me to go because there's no staying. Because even in this relationship that I'm on the straddling the fence about right now, he's never called me out of my name. That was abnormal to me. And I've never called him out of his name. Well,
not recently. How about that?
Not lately. Not lately. Let me say this. When I did call him out of his name, I was, in my mind, in the way I feel, I was well within my rights because I have given you something that I've never given anybody else and you shitted on it.
Oh, let me let you know this now. Now you say his mama and his daddy been married a very long time, right?
Right.
If he has never witnessed his mama talk to his daddy like that, you're foreign to him. He don't understand you. You're wicked and you're rebellious.
That's where I was going because his mom does not talk to his dad like that.
So he don't understand you.
And his dad doesn't talk to his mom like that. Reason he doesn't have to be like that.
And this is how in church when they talk about two becoming one. Your way of life and how you was raised, his way of life, how he was raised, what he think, what he been taught, what you think, what you've been taught. Trying to bring it together can be a disaster. And that's why it has to be a reason and a purpose to give you the strength, the grace, and the momentum. Relationship without purpose crash. or relationships where both people don't see the vision and the purpose crash. But when you got two people fighting for it, that's why you see them on year 5, no matter what they've been through. On year 10, no matter what they've been through. On year 15.
Because both people have to fight, though. And that's where the problem comes. So that's why we always end up in divorce, because somebody's not willing to fight.
Somebody lost the vision, or there was never one. You see what I'm saying? And they finally wake up to that. But with the vision, everybody who's connected to it or married to the vision, they're going to stick together and see the vision all the way through.
Okay. That's
so
my
tip today would be for you is, throughout this conversation, I've heard you mention so many times, I feel. Come out of what you feel and get into what you know. Our feelings change, they waver.
Baby, if I get into what I know,
that's gonna make you boss up and walk in truth and walk in your authority. You can't go by what I know.
It's time to go.
And our feelings sometimes are true.
And that's where I am right now. I am into what I know. And what I know is telling me it's time to go.
Right.
And I didn't want that because I wanted to work on it. I'm still willing to fight, but it got to be a whole lot of changes for me to fight. So, and we ain't married. So why I got to fight with you? Why I got to put in this much work and I'm not your wife?
Right.
So we covered a whole lot. It's been real. So I'm going to definitely have to have you back because we covered a lot, but we got so much more to cover. I just feel like we was all over the place. We touched a lot of different bases. I really, really need to hear about this unionship because I feel like that's just so dope and I need to know more about it.
I thought you wanted to know about the little booty, big booty.
I want to do a little bit of little booty, big booty too. That's next. Wait, I don't know what's next. Something's next, but it's coming. So, but just tell everybody how they can, learn how to strategize from you, how to hit you up on your social media platforms, or how to just get any knowledge or information that they can from you.
Okay, they can reach me privately at faithgoodell@gmail.com. Or if you want to hit me on social media, it's Faith the Strategist Goodell.
And you can reach me at Let's Chat, or you can reach me at noneofyourbusiness.com. It's like I'm just playing. Let Harvey on Facebook, or you love watching Let on IG. Until next time, y'all stay blessed. We definitely will. Peace.
Peace.